Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the 9 o'clock national hour here on the Film Guy Network. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it right now. We already got some carryover. I see y'all. I see y'all hanging out for the local hour and then matriculating on over here for the national hour. We appreciate you for being here. Today's word of the day, patience. Okay, patience is a hard thing to ask for these days, particularly in the world of college football, maybe just the world in general. Hard to get people to be patient nowadays. Shut up and wait. Shut up and wait. That's all I got. I got it on the board over there. It says shut up and wait. Sometimes you just need to shut your mouth and you just need to wait. And sometimes it's really, really hard to do that. People in college football, they want roster turnover and they want results and they want it now, okay? A lot of examples around college football where turnovers are immediate. Things happen really quickly thanks to the NIL and thanks to the NIL. I sound really old. Thanks to NIL and the transfer portal, these turnarounds can happen relatively quickly. But I got a quote for you, okay? The only way to increase the patience of your fan base is to increase the product of your program. I'm going to say it one more time. The only way to increase the patience of your fan base is to increase the product of your program. So how do you go about improving the product of your program? Well, I'll tell you, number one way. The number one way to increase the product on the field is to get better football players. If you recruit great football players and get them to your program, you will increase the product of your program. And that brings us to Billy Napier and the Florida Gators. Billy and the Florida Gators were smoldering hot on the recruiting trail. I mean, scorching hot. They were ranked as high as the number 3 recruiting class in 2024 just a few weeks ago. That was until this weekend. Following Saturday's loss, Jamonte Waller, their highest-ranked commit, has decommitted and since committed to Auburn. Wardell Mack has decommitted and committed to Texas. Nasir Johnson, a defensive tackle, flipped to the University of Georgia today. They have dropped now to number 5, and that might not be it. Amaris Williams is flirting with Ohio State, their highest-ranked or their second highest-ranked wide receiver, I believe highest-ranked wide receiver commit in that 2024 class right now. So I ask you, the chat, and I ask you, Florida fans who have found this today, and I ask you, college football fans in general, how do you go about judging the momentum of the Florida football program at this point? Because I'll be honest, I've kind of stopped gauging the temperature of the room because it's always hot. Florida fans are always kind of ticked off at this point in their regime change and in what's going on in their program, because how could you not be? Right? Florida hasn't been this bad or consistently this bad in I don't know how long. I really don't. It goes back way before my lifetime, okay? It goes back before the Spurrier days, and that's a long time where you've been consistently this bad year after year after year, all right? And when he's having guys decommit from his football program, it's hard to read where that cardiac that heart rate monitor is of this football program, because we're constantly beeping up and beeping down and beeping up and beeping down. I got a quote from a source today that says, quote, "Hard to say let him sign his guys when he's not signing them." That's a really, really good point. I know it's really, really early in this situation, but if you're a Florida fan, gentlemen, before we welcome everybody into the show, I want your thoughts on this. If you are a Florida fan today, how do you go about maintaining patience with a guy who might not, I'm not saying survive, but his recruiting classes, which is the reason that you are optimistic, are seemingly taking hits every single week?
I think you have to realize that this is only year 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's such a quick turnaround thing that we've talked about in college football now, where it's like you have to show results year 1, and if you don't, here's the door. But I mean, it's not like this was a great Florida team he inherited. It's not like he got the keys to a brand new Porsche. This was a decimated roster that Dan Mullen pretty much abandoned after the 2020 season. And
not only that, the seniors that were left on the roster, he basically had to get rid of. The Brandon Coxes of the world, the Trey Deans of the world, he had to dump almost every bit of veteran presence that they had.
Yeah, so I think that people are almost expecting too much out of Billy Napier in the first 2 seasons. It might be because of what Kirby Smart did in his first 2 seasons. It might be because of the quick turnaround you've seen elsewhere, but this isn't a type of situation where you're going to be seeing big results in year 2. And yeah, it's alarming to be losing recruits, but that's what's going to happen when you lose games. Like, that's just what's.
I will also say this: not that we do it, but we do it for Georgia, so we're going to do it for you guys. You lose a commit to Auburn. I'm not going to tell you can blame it all on money, but at this point, you can kind of. Right? You can say, all right, that's something that happened, right? They definitely were competitive on the NIL offer, you would imagine, and we're on a downtick. They're on somewhat of an uptick, and the kids from Alabama. There's a lot of things that you could say about Jamonte Waller's recruitment where you're like, it was kind of a long shot for us to even have landed him in the first place. You can do all that self-conceding that you want to do as a fan. Same thing with somebody that flips from Florida to Texas. Texas got one of the biggest NIL bags in the world right now. But the flip of Nasir Johnson to Georgia, that's just Big Brother stealing from you. That's all that was. I mean, to be honest with you, that made 29 commits for the University of Georgia today, and they're trying to add 2 or 3 more football players in this class, maybe even more than that. That was just a rich man taking a poor man's, extra housing and just saying, that's mine. I'm gonna put a tenant in it and make some money off of it too.
Yeah, and I think another thing that we're forgetting is, yes, Florida hasn't been this bad in a while. They were really awful from that 2013 to 2016 stretch, but Georgia hasn't been this good in a time that Florida's this bad either. I mean, there's never been a time where Georgia's this dominant and Florida, on the other hand,
isn't. That's a hell
isn't.
of a point.
So when you look around, it's like, oh my God, we have to catch up with Kirby Smart and all that.
It is weird how that works, isn't it? Like the last time Georgia was bad, like consistently bad, was the mid to late 90s.
Yep.
And that was only because of Spurrier.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Florida's only bad because Georgia's this great. And this is payback for all them years where, you were 35-point favorites in a neutral site over Georgia.
Plus, let's not forget, too, it's not just that Georgia's good. Missouri is now a top 10 football program in college football. They're also in the same division as you. Kentucky was an absolute bottom feeder in this division for a very, very long time. They are now sustainable and at least competitive, again, with Mark Stoops at the helm. So Billy Napier did not exactly walk into a very easy situation in this division or this conference.
I'm looking at – it's always funny to go back and look at these stats references, and I know he was there for a long time, but you take out the 10 years Spurrier was there and the 5 years Urban Meyer was there, and this isn't one of those. This isn't one of those historical winners. You know what I mean? Like before Spurrier, they didn't have a 10-win season. Think about that. Before Steve Spurrier won 10 games for the first time in 1991, they did not have a single 10-win season. So Florida hasn't been this. Forever. It was kind of a Steve Spurrier, then the Ron Zook years that make no sense, and then it's boom, Urban Meyer. You had 2 historically great coaches in a 15-year span. It really sucks for Florida fans because you only got 5 years of Urban Meyer before he faked a heart attack on you. Like that really sucks for you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.